Okay, so good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
Morning,
Morning, sir.
I would like to
Morning,
clarify
sir.
something about yesterday's incident. I think wala ko nag-announce gahapon nga dili ko magklase sa physics. Yeah, I was waiting for the kwan. You know already naman siguro the schedule. Okay? Unless I have important things to do. Mag-announce ko kung magklase tao dili. But yesterday I remembered wala ko nag-announce nga dito magklase sa physics na to. What happened?
Sa face-to-face, sir?
No, online class. I think you're well aware nga natin classes of physics every Tuesday and Thursday. I announced only nga nag-move ko klase is para dan 3 eyes. Kaya wala ko nag-ingon nga di ko magklase gahapon. And you're doing it again polite. Eh, okay, so let's discuss another lesson for our 3 eyes. I think this is the second to the last discussion for our for this semester. I might be giving you a performance task this final, and it will involve engagement to your community. So it's an individual work. So I want you to prepare yourselves, because you'll be focusing not only on your capstone research, but also the performance task that I'm about to give you. Okay, so let's start. I have a question sa inyo, class. Who among you here were once a journalist sa Osaka journalism club? Kisa sa inyo dani ang sa una, member sa journalism nga club or publication nga club. Na ba dani sa polite?
Oh, sir.
I'm sorry, kisa to siya si what's that? Isa man to na ingon nga siya. Kisa to? I-comment na lang, i-comment kung kaputol-putol lang yung Okay, can I ask someone, be? How important publication sa usa ka journalist? Can anyone please give me or enlighten me, or can you share something about how important publication is when you're talking about journalism or being a journalist? How important publishing your article, either in a let's say uh, either online or on site. How important publication daw? Sige. Okay, may I ask, okay, since you're not answering my question, I'm gonna ask someone, I'll be calling names. Okay, how about you, Elijah? Are you there, Elijah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Elijah, I want you to participate, Elijah. I missed you, Elijah. Okay, you've been absent for consecutive times na. Okay, how important publication, Elijah, sa usa ka journalist?
important siya, sir, in order for you to publish your one articles and in order for the people to know sa imong gibuhat na.
Okay, it's important because you are sharing someone something to the people. Okay, what else? How about you, Acero? How important publication, Acero? Acero, how important publication, Acero?
One sir kanang for the journalists to be recognized.
Recognition. Okay.
Yes sir.
Okay, last one. How about you, Boris?
Kuan, sir, for you to be aware of kuan new knowledge in the field.
Okay, so awareness. So we have different answers. No, we have uh, recognition. We have information, and we also have uh, for us to be aware. Okay, awareness. So thank you so much for your answers. Now, how important publication they actually on on research Mangood. Okay, we can compare research also to journalism. Why? So journalism Mangood, you're also doing your research, right? Like you have to be on site for you to publish a very sufficient yet reliable nga mga statements. Diba? Let's take for example Rappler. Okay, I'm not I'm just giving an example lang ha. Like for example Rappler ha. Rappler was rated according sa government according to the to some according to the government. Okay, even on the media kanang bitang on the media nga kanang side. Okay, the government rated Rappler as one of the has a very low credibility when it comes to disseminating information. Why? It's because they are publishing articles, they are publishing statements that were based only from hearsays, and some of it, although some of the statement coming from the reliable source or the reliable person, wherein the article itself talks about is there is a revision that is happening. Okay, there is what we call bias. Now, when you are talking about bias, Manggod, you're making the source or even the main source of your idea of the idea of your article. Kwan siya, you're making you are making false statements coming from from that person who really stated something that is really true. Okay, now how important publication in that matter? When you are comparing the situation to how important publication is, like you've said, diba, you are actually informing everyone about something that you as a journalist were in, okay? And you are also giving awareness to some people who are not on site, but you as a journalist, you as a researcher, you're giving them experience based from what they are reading. 'Di ba? So without publication man God, like for example, if the newspaper before wala siya nag-exist, do you think other people will be informed on what is happening on their surrounding? No? No TV, no internet, no computer before, no newspaper. So what do you think will happen? What do you think will be the outcome if those sources are not even existing before? So one of the importance of publication is that you are informing the people based from the reliable resources. Okay, that is also part of the research. You cannot say that your research is something that your research is not that fragile unless the resources, the sources wherein ang imuhang mga information gikan is not really true or not even existing. Now, when can we say that we are really doing some publication or we're really establishing what we call publication? Now, we have what we call modes of communication. This is where the publication happens. So the findings of your research study can be shown by having it published in a scientific or technical publication or through posters and PowerPoint slide presentation, lectures and talks in technical conferences or through mainstream media. This is where we're talking about not only the we're not talking about the hearsays lang, we're not talking about false accusations and false reports, but we're talking about anything that was on site, anything that happened, anything that the person, the researcher, the journalist, him or herself experienced on that specific field. Now we have different kind of modes for where the publication should coming from. First, we have the journals or the research article. Now, reports usually written following the style of a journal in publications, which are read by the professionals and experts in different disciplines. These publications are widely circulated and observe the highest professional standards by conducting peer review to ensure the integrity and veracity of the report and articles. So, uh, publication talks about widely circulated, observed standards, and even it is conducted with integrity and veracity. So, what do you think is the meaning of that statement? Okay, what do you think is the meaning of that one of that definition? You cannot publish something. You cannot publish a report. You cannot publish, let's say yung research ha. You cannot publish your research unless it was already approved by the panelists, 'di ba? Or if it's you cannot publish your research unless the panel gives you an authority and gives you let's say an approval that your research is already done or it was made it was completely made na, no more revision that will no more revision, no more corrections, and no more suggestions that is needed for your paper. This is kung okay na tanan, no kuan na wala na yung problema. Okay, you can now publish that research. Okay, pwede naman na siya soft bound, hard bound. Tapos pwede na naman na siya i-publish through internet or pwede na naman na siya i-recommend or i-advertise dito sa mga library or anywhere kung asa pwede ma-recognize ang imuhang published article or published nga research. It's the same thing that happens on on the mainstream media. Okay? Dili nila pwede ma-publish ang I think katong mga nag-appeal bitaw sa journalism, makarelate mo dani, di ba? You cannot publish anything man good or an article unless siya kanang approve siya sa mga officers nga na-consist diya sa inyohang na-consist sa club or approve siya sa advisors, di ba? Or nabuhat nga kanang corrections, nabuhat nga revisions. Because what will happen di ay kung i-publish nato ang atong research article or journals nga walay nga wala giagi sa mga authorities. What do you think will happen? Joel, Budlaw, what do you think will happen, Budlaw, kung dili mo agi sa mga higher ups or mga professional authorities ang imuhang article, imuhang reports or imuhang research paper?
I think if dili mo agi sa like kanang research masters or paper masters ang article series, there might be instances nga naay error ato nga article tapos na publish siya tapos ma-critic dahil siya nga naay error dadto. For example, sir, I have written an article atong tree planting about sa tong tree planting activity og gipasa na ako siya kang Ma'am Dabon tapos gi-edit din ni Ma'am Dabon kay may mga info dadto nga like na error gamay so dapat moagi jud siya sa kanang paper masters.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Joel, no? Yes, no? You have to seek some approval sa, di ba? Because, let's say that, even professional writers, di ba? They are seeking approval also to those who have experiences already on how to really write or how to, kung, di ba? How to ensure the certainty of the paper. So, if dito siya iagi man gud sa mga like what said no mga paper masters sa mga journalist na kung ano sa even on the journalism na club there might be a problem sa ato ang sa content na dayon di ba the critic will now overwhelm the kwan the published article so daghan na rin kayo mga storya dayon nga unsa man ni pagbuhat wala man ni siya klaro di man ni tinuod uh, kanang weak na kaayo ang iyahang source the person involved in the article is not even existing and etc. Diba? This is to avoid too much critiquing, diba? Negative critiquing. So if you don't want to be negative if you don't want negative criticism, you have to make sure that naagi siya sa mga sa mga professionals or uh, mga master na no sa mga sa kwan, especially those writers, mga head writers na to nga kabro na sila sa mga possible errors and mga uh, kanabit ang mga possible nga mga mistakes nga naa uh, sa sa usa ka article okay or sa usa ka paper. Another also is when it comes to thesis and dissertation. Okay, this is this kind of thesis and dissertation na sa mga doctors na ni siya, no? Now, writing thesis or dissertations is another way of making known the result of your research, project, or inquiry. In the academe, thesis is revised after evaluation by a dissertation committee. These are deposited in every school library. Usually, it happens sa mga college na nga level, especially those people uh, who are enrolled in masteral and of course doctorals, no? Uh, dissertation and thesis happens because in every school man good, even sa inyo no, sa inyo grade 12 karon, you are also asked about your own idea on or even your own output on how are you going to interpret and how are you going to to produce a research that can be also a tool for the school to be published also. Okay, pag imong paper man go sa school, especially if it's really good, it's very confident siya, catchy, it is very timely, it's gonna, let's say, it's gonna, it happened nga, kuan kay siya, it happened nga, the content is very interesting. When the school, or let's say we have a research department here in Moist, if it's approved by the college, it will be published na either pwede na to siya ibutang sa library or pwede na to siya i-include sa ato ang site sa Moist. No, because that could be a tool, that could be an asset that the student in Moist really can publish a research or an article that is efficient and also interesting to kuan siya to read. No, it's very informative. Now for the thesis and dissertation man good, it's it depends on the school kung ilan na siyang i-publish through online or ilan ba ibutang ang output diya sa library. Ano man, because pwede na to siya gamiton as a reference. That is why sa ato ang research man good, even sa inyo ano, experience na siya karon, you are kanabitang when you are researching for the related literature, you can actually makakita mo, makasik mo og mga sample ng mga dissertations or thesis or articles na publish online nga mostly related siya sa inyong research. Okay? And that is how helpful publishing an article is. So, for example, if you want to find some kanang relative information regarding sa imuhang research, you can find that one online or you you can seek that information from the library if there is, no, if kanang naa siya. And then also it opens a lot of opportunity to all the researchers to be inspired, especially on how the thesis or the dissertation was done. Kila, tsada lagi kayong information dani, no? Yung sa kanan niya, can we just follow the technique? Can we just follow the way it was the way it was kanang written? Can we follow the one even the thoughts and ideas behind the sample dissertation or the sample published article? 'Di ba? Ma-inspired ka. That's one also. Uh, the negative side of that one is that pwede magud siya makwandayan, pwede na siya awaton, like, 'di ba? Not in not in the inspirational way, but in a copycat way, 'di ba? Like kapiho na lang tanan ng content, okay, without even realizing lain naman kay siya ang iyahang kwan na to, ang iyahang outcome. So, yeah, it's the same thing when you are doing when you're doing some if you're doing some journalism, okay? The committee will approve the content, the committee will approve the process, and then if okay na tanan, pwede na nato siya ma-publish. Okay? Okay. Now, what are the advantages of the written reports? So we have here the form of permanent records documenting the details of the inquiry. Okay? So, like I've said kanina, no, being a journalist and a researcher are the same. Okay, they are two the same, but they are having the same process, and they can be widely circulated. They can be validated and endorsed by scientific community. Okay, so those are the things lang. Okay, so writing a report really needs a framework. Okay, we can say that it needs a framework, a very strong framework actually, because it needs a validation, an endorsement to the professional committees, and then it also record the importance of the event. Okay, that's like what Joel said ganina, no, especially sa tree planting. Although you are on site, you are you are writing, uh, you are reflecting on the things that is happening on your surrounding. You are giving your thoughts, your you know your comment on that event. But then that's for you, di ba? Ikaw nga nasulat na to, for you it's okay na because I was there, di ba? Na ako da nga lugar na. I know what is happening. I know what to write. I know the details of my paper. But then you have to a person who will validate, okay, your work will just add something, okay, not to correct but to add lang. Okay, yung sa pag-add niya na sir, actually mag-add lang siya ng mga important details as well that will give your paper a very catchy and interesting and makaka-create siya interesting and very catchy nga mode. Okay, because kung naman ko tigiingon nga kung kanang dili pwede nga ikaw lang nakarelate, no, yeah, dili pwede nga ikaw lang nakarelate, you have you have to make sure that all the ikaw lang nakarelate upon reading the article na din, upon reading your work, that person na nagbasa na can actually still experience what you have experienced. Okay, because if that happened, it means that your article, your publication is really working. Okay, it has an impact to the reader. We also have here oral presentations. So maybe limited to a specific audience, not the general public. If a researcher is compelled to present his or her findings in so little time, the upside of oral presentation is that a presenter gets to personally meet those who can validate his or her findings, and endorse them to experts in the field. Let's say reporters, okay, mga reporters ka na sa field, they are actually doing oral presentation. And we, the viewer, are the one critiquing that reporter. Di ba? even those who are anchors bitaw, mga anchors, like mga news anchors, mga entertainment anchors, those are the example of the oral presentations. What they're reporting is actually happening on the field. And some, we have two type of audience or viewers. We have the positive and the negative. No, some people might say that your report is okay, or it's quite fine. It's, let's say, it's interesting. Other might say that it's invalid. Other will say it's insufficient. It's not even it's unreliable. It's not even quiet. It's not even true. Okay, it's all about lies, etc. So by these two type of audiences, uh, makakuan ka as a reporter, as the one that presenting the report, as the one that presenting your work, makakuan ka, no? Makakonclude ka about what can you say about your work. Is it really effective or not? Diba? You can even critique your own work because you have to base the quiet the your work will be based from their criticism. Okay, but again, it will depend. Okay, either you will accept their criticism or you will validate their criticism. So if you wanted to push your work, uh, regardless of the too much negative criticism, then you have to make sure that naaki mga panpod, no, naaki mga supporting naaki mga supporting resources that will really validate your work. Okay, that's also the class, the idea of the defense. Okay, you are actually bitaw sa inyong research, you're doing your oral presentation, man. Diba? You're defending your work in person. You're defending your work in front of the panelists. Now, if you will just agree on the suggestion, the correction, and even the criticisms, then you are not actually defending your work, diba? You are just letting the panelists kana bitang kana bitang ginakon bitaw sa not in a negative way, ha ba? Kana bitang ginapasagtan bitaw ni mga panelists bitaw nga irok-irokon bitaw mo. Okay? Kana bitang despite sa inyong kahago, no, irok-irokon lang mo in front sa mga panelists. No, you have to defend that one because you are presenting your work. That is your work. Unless kung inyo na siyang copy paste sa internet, because you cannot defend that one. But if you are that person, if you are a group working on that paper, hand in hand, brainstorming, igniting ideas despite of the differences, you can actually defend that one. Yeah. So you are the you are you the person, the researcher or that group of researchers can validate your own work. Okay, you can validate your own work. Another also is poster presentations. Uh, Poster presentations will be printed on large size boards, which are often made beautifully and as colorful and attractive as possible. The poster presenter shall highlight only those important findings of the research study so as to avoid lengthy and boring presentations. You are then required to stand beside your presentation during the designated schedule as planned. Um, the poster presentation is like also what we call defense. Okay, you are like advertising or endorsing your work to the public. Okay, like for example, na mo is those people who have experienced already what is investigatory project, di ba? Isa sa inyo din naka-investigatory project na high school. I think most of you, di ba? Naka-investigatory project na,
Yes, sir.
di ba? So, di ba sa investigatory project kay na ginatagaan ta og kanang format, okay, natay format, and then sa format dito naka-contain ang mga informations about our work, no? And what we will do is that or nakakuha siya, nakabutan siya, naka-print siya, no? What will happen there is that you have to advertise your product. Okay, you have to kwan, grabe tang, you have to present your product to the committee, and then uh I think some of the product, uh what they will do is that they will put a lot of this info, they will put some details like mga artistic nga mga kwan based from their creativity. They will put some artistic kanibitang details sa ilahang work, and then di ba na different kind of learners, na different kind of kwan like na mga mga visual nga learners lang. At kung mga visual learners, kung mga visual nga mga audience lang, they will really appreciate your work because you have made it beautifully and colorful, and it's very attractive to them. Okay? But you have to know, you have to remember, it's not the artistic work that you need to that you need to kana to to present. It's the information, or it's the real kanang it's the essence of what your work is all about. Muna yung dapat i-present, okay? Because wala makadiskubangan para maingon nga, Munish, this is my work. I use color green and color yellow as part of this coin. I also use uh silver dust to make my product. No, you're not doing that. Okay? You're not actually presenting the details of how artistic your work is. You have to present the essentiality of your work, if there is. No? So, sometimes the information that was kana bitang naka-input na to sa imuhang artistic work were really informative na daan. Okay, the information was kanang naka-input na. Okay, and then sa mga reader, especially mga panel, basahon na lang nila noon sa nasa imuhang work, and then they will give you some they will give you some they will critique your work. Okay, so that is also an example of publication. Okay, you're actually seeking for a recognition of your work. Okay, so you have also to kind of remember that that the structure and the format of the scientific paper is also part of the publication. So there are at least three underlying questions that you can use as a guide in writing a scientific paper. Like, when do you write a report? Okay, who are your target readers or audience? And what is the purpose or the reason of writing your report? So these are the three type of questions that should be, uh, that should be published, or that should be inside your scientific paper. Okay, so when do you write a report? Okay, occasionally you are writing a report based from how important and how significant it is. Who are your target readers or audience? Generally, you're talking about the public because again, you are, as a journalist, as a researcher, you wanted the people to know, and to be informed of of how important your research is all about. And what is the purpose or the reason of writing your report? You just wanted other people to know, and you just wanted other people to be informed on how essential, how uh, how needing is your report is all about. Because if your work is not interesting enough to the eyes of the audience, or they cannot perceive what is your article or what is your publication is all about, then go back to the basic, diba? Try to evaluate your work, because there might be something wrong on the content. Okay, you have to seek for the purpose of your report. And anyways, we have different purpose, but why do we need to write some report, and why do we write reports, diba? We have many reasons. So a research has a discretion when he or she should make the result of his or her inquiry known to the public. Timing is important as it will avoid any uproar or controversy, but it will prepare the researcher as to the level of discussion to be pursued to meet expectations of his or her target readers and audience. So what makes a well-written report? So we have different components here. We call it IMRAD. Okay. So what's with the IMRAD? IMRAD is first is the title, the abstract, and actually the I is for the introduction, diba? is introduction, that is the title and the abstract. The M is the methodology. It's all about the experiment. It's about what certain methods was used to really create a well written report. We also have here the results, di ba? To make your to make your report uh, reliable, you have to at least have this result, no? Either kwan siya, either ano bitang what do you call this one? Either kanang statistically na type na report, either descriptive type of result, or either kwan siya, hypothetically and theoretically made ng mga results. It's very important also. Another is discussion. I think naka kwan ni siya. Uh, I think na ay other kwan na ni. Okay. I think the D is a discussion. If I'm not kwan. Yeah, I think A is not yet kwan din. Dili siya kwan sa Imran. Okay? And D is the kwan, the discussion. I think the A is about the acknowledgement. Or I think this is how you interpret your the result. Okay? Because if you don't interpret the result, what will you report? What will you publish? Okay? And then we have the conclusion, recommendation, and references. I think there's something wrong with this one, so I'll try to seek some information about this. Okay, so I think you are well familiar with this one, kaning structure and format of the research paper. So I don't have to discuss this one to you anymore, ha, because kwan na, balik-balik na ta. Okay, so muna kayo. I think you're well aware naman siguro kung saan siya. So just like a research paper, you have this different type of kanang format when you are writing a report as well. Even uh, research and journals are the same. Okay. So a scientific paper usually follows the standard elements and format to ensure that you and the reader are well guided in your search of information. Writing a research paper entails the use of formal language and coherent paragraphs and correct grammar and spelling. So it's all about how you grammatically write your report. Okay, you have to observe uh, correct format because if you are again, you will be critiqued on your work. So you have to make sure that you're really following the correct standard when you are doing or when you are writing your report because it will be published. And once ma-publish na siya, there's no turning back. Unless imo na siyang i-delete. I-delete na siya or i-ignore. Okay, a novice researcher writing a report or article needs to to document everything about his or her research undertaking. The journal is written after the study is completed. The essential elements of IMRAD are written using the past tense and the third person. So, how do you write a written report or how do you write a journal? So, the most obvious clue here is make sure nga naka-past tense ang iyang mga verbs or even the action verb that was used on writing the article dapat naka-past tense siya. And of course you are actually uh, talking about the third person. So what are the third person ng mga kwan, di mga we, mga our, mga nagsuot sa the. So because you are sharing your thoughts, you are sharing your experience, you are making your audience, your reader, uh, kalibita, you're also inviting them to experience what they are reading. Okay? You are trying to deliver some emotions. You are trying to deliver some impression to them. Each abbreviation, okay. Subtitles for each paragraph may be included to avoid ambiguity of data. A well-written report uses simple language and words easily understood by laymen. Okay, It's the same thing when you are doing some research class. Do not use words that is very unnecessary. That's too much flowery. You know what? Some of the content of the research, they are actually using some flowery words. Like some are using heavy English. When some researcher also uses grammar, no words that is para sa mga readers quite complicated that abayan pa mo siya dictionary just for you to understand. So if possible, try to use some simple language and make it that is very understandable sa mga tao nga average lang ang ilahang capacity to absorb and to understand your article and what the article is all about. Okay? So each abbreviation and acronym must be clearly indicated. Tables and graphs are properly labeled to support the statement and claims included under discussions. So if you follow the IMRAD, you can actually see there how important the result and how important is it to be interpreted. Okay. Sometimes pictures shows or sometimes pictures explains more than the words that is written on the article. Uh, kung mas greater man gud ang meaning sa picture, tapos dili siya mo agree sa imong statement, the viewer, the audience, the reader will dito sila mag-focus sa picture na because how they interpret the picture is different from how you interpret it through the writing process. Like, again, example na ako ang Rappler ha. Kabantay mo na to ilang report about sa bridge sa Cebu. Kasi nakabalo din eh. Kasi
Yes, sir.
di ba kita mo na
Yes,
to,
sir.
nga report?
Yes, sir.
O, di ba? So, if you as a reader, if you will be, if magbasa ka sa article sa Rappler, like how they deliver the report, they're actually talking about the bridge. But on the side of that bridge, no, behind that explanation, behind their interpretation based from what they thought is uh, quite symbolic sa ilahang article, kita nga nakakita sa picture, we do not see the meaning and even kung unsa jud ang bridge all about because what we can see is only katong mga balay nga nasa ubos sa bridge. So, siguro kung journalist, there was a journalist who said, kung journalist ka, makabalo ka unsay meaning that tong gipublish sa Rappler. It's quite the opposite. So, say pasabot to, ana sila, yes, we are talking about the bridge, but behind the success of the construction sa bridge, behind the money that was spent to build that bridge are people on that area na pobre lang gyapon that they are not benefiting the kalibitaw the success of building that bridge. So imagine that mindset, di ba? So that is kung dapat you have to make sure that the published article, the information that you wanted the people to know should only be focusing on one specific details or one specific detail. I'm sorry, one specific detail lang. Okay, do not be biased, diba? Yeah, do not kanang do not indulge do not indulge your audience to the negative aspect of what your report is all about. If you're focusing on the how on the lifestyle